people are defensive
But what I'm saying,
about the name tells me that those people have a concern about the value of the vehicle.
no, we, some people
Then
just
you
think, some
should
people
own it.
think
If
it's
you
just,
think it's great, then you own it. Just say,
Yeah.
I love it, it's on
I
my
do. But some people think it's disrespectful, and it's more than that, gentleman. But what I was gonna say on that is when you guys say y'all hadn't read the bill, have you read it by now?
Yes. The
Okay.
reason why I didn't read it before is because I didn't have an opportunity.
Now, to me, the best strategy for getting rid of Obamacare is let it fall flat on its face if that's what y'all think it's gonna do.
You know, I agree with you in part. The problem is I'm afraid it's going to take a lot of Americans to help it.
And on y'all's facts and figures, do the government accounting office have that on the website where, you know, we take what y'all say at face value, but I like to double check.
Well, there are a lot of different scientific studies on Obamacare. And my hesitation in calling it.
No, I'm looking for the one from the government, the one that's gonna mean the most.
Well, you have to understand that what we use for that is called the CBO, Congressional Budget Office. The Congressional Budget Office, no matter who is feeding the data, it's a garbage in, garbage out proposition. What does that mean? It means if you give bad assumptions, you're going to get bad results. And so, remember when the law passed, it was supposed to balance, right? It paid for itself. Well, what did they do? They implemented the law 3 years after they began the revenue policy. Well, you know what? If you could live in your house on 8 months' rent, would you like to do that?
Yes.
Well, that's exactly what Obamacare is for. Although, once it catches up, and it is, what we're really finding is that instead of the bill balancing and paying for itself, it's going to probably cost a couple of $1 trillion over 10 years on top of our debt. The reason why I don't like to call it the Affordable Care Act is because everything that comes out about it says that your costs are going up. So I can identify it with President Obama because he signed it. But don't tell me that it's affordable when everybody's rates are going up. It's not affordable to me. I don't think so. Yes? Yeah. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the discretionary, you said that's what you got to start.
Yeah.
And I had a question about why in the world do you have the work requirements for welfare recipients were taken away. It was working. Welfare rolls were coming down, people were getting jobs. Why in the world would you take something like that away? It was put, Clinton signed it in the office or law. It was working. Why would you take something like that away?
Okay.
Because the welfare rolls have just gone up, and that hurts us. That hurts all of us.
It does. It hurts everybody. It hurts the most vulnerable and the lower income the most. Here's why. There was a man back in the early 1800s. His name was Untitled. He was a Frenchman. He was a great admirer of our new system, our new test tube system of government, the tripartite government based on democracy and republicanism. And he said, I love what you're doing. I think it's great. There's only one problem. And I'm paraphrasing. These are not his exact words. But what he basically said is, when people figure out that you can bribe people for your vote, this whole thing will collapse. And so, remember that the president took off those work requirements for the one means tested part of welfare. And as a result, you've seen an explosion of people on it. And that's a very, very positive political thing. When you're giving things away to people, okay, they're going to vote for you.
Okay, but see, but it's not good for the whole country.
I hate to tell you something, but politicians think more themselves than they do.
Exactly, that's it, exactly, bottom line.
And so.
I mean, you gotta think of the whole country, the
I
individual
understand
people,
that.
these people that are being.
Thank you for visiting the Broadmoor Library. Our hours are as follows. Monday through Thursday, we're open from 9 to 7. Friday and Saturday, we're open from 9 to 6. And Sunday, we're open from 1 to 5.
Again,
The
politicians.
library will be closing in 30
They
minutes.
want to get promoted.
Please come to the
They want to be
circulation desk
reelected.
now if you need to pay a
And
fine.
politicians
Like
will
the
do a lot
library
of
card.
things to get
This
votes,
is also the
including
time to contact someone
bribing
if
their
you'd like to home.
constituents.
The courtesy phone is available across the circulation desk. Thank you.
There would be a majority that would see what is happening to our country. It is systematically being dismantled by one social law after another. What is good about that?
I mean,
What
how
is
many people
good
will put
about
out
that?
of work during the recession? Because if the welfare rolls are going up, do you have the numbers on that?
Yeah.
Do you know how many people
food
lost
stamps-
their jobs?
Food stamps have gone from 33 million to over 45 million.
You have
just in the
people
last-
that have lost their jobs, that you're paying into the system all of their adult life since they were 18 years old, and you want to begrudge them $50 of food stamps to
Well,
feed themselves and their
but
family?
see, the problem with that is that the correlation doesn't exist. That is to say, many more people are utilizing the means-tested welfare programs than what are not having jobs. So you can't just say, well, jobs were lost and therefore people on welfare. And the other part is that, again, as long as you raise taxes and have more government spending programs, you're going to depress economic activity. And certainly when you have a law that punishes an employer for having more than 50 employees, what reason does he or she want to grow his business?
But
And
if
therefore you lose jobs.
But Dr. Fleming, if you weren't making the amount of money.
But that's the whole point. People who have a job in healthcare may lose both as a result of it. Yes, sir.
Dr. Fleming, I'm concerned about the energy in our country, the electrical distribution system in our country. And when we have EPA hitting the electric utilities, shutting down coal-fired plants to gain a 0.1%, maybe a little bit better efficiency, environmental efficiency, at the cost of billions, which those billions are paid for by the ratepayers. And then you have the state of Louisiana spending over $50 million incentivizing solar, and the federal government, I can't even imagine millions, and 30% incentive. And then when people put solar systems on their houses, it causes the amount of money being paid in to support the distribution system to erode, which means the people that are primarily poor and middle class that can't afford the solar incentives even after, the solar panels even after the incentives are paid. And then they say, well, they can lease the systems. You got to have good credit to do that. And there's a lot of poor people that don't have houses that they own or will ever be able to get them. The electric rates are going to go higher because of things like that. And what can you do to have an overall energy commission to look at the overall impact? Because I'm telling you, the solar thing's a big game. And there's some people making some money, and it's going to hurt the people who can't afford it.
Okay, let me put the answer. Are we going to get locked in here, or what's the situation?
Based on library is 7, so we gotta leave
Say
it
lock
like
the
7.
door.
We'll get to a song of life and
We need to start winding down.
Basically, it comes down to unnecessary subsidies.
Yeah, I do not agree with energy subsidies. I don't agree with corporate welfare anyway. I don't think that green energy should be subsidized. I don't believe that traditional energy should be subsidized. And so, other than the normal nominal tax deductions that go with energy production, that would go with manufacturing, that would go with small business, I mean, those are reasonable because the cost is a cost. We have to deduct that cost. But as far as a subsidy, as far as actually subsidy, we shouldn't be doing that. If solar is good, well, then it'll do well. We don't need to subsidize it. We don't need to be putting, and we look at the numbers, if you look at the state and the federal tax credits that go with solar panels, you can actually pay for a whole system out of tax credits, 80% of the system, and still the numbers don't add up. So when you subsidize it that much, and you still are better off with traditional electricity, it's insane to do
We're
it.
making the Chinese rich.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna wrap up on this. First up on healthcare, I just want you guys to think about things. I'm a Republican, but in looking at that plan, before, the insurance companies in our old system, if you had a pre-existing disease or something happened pre-existing, they would cut a rider on it from the insurance company, and trust me, you could not afford your insurance. You would die in the old system. Okay, now they have to accept pre-existing conditions with this healthcare plan. That's one thing the insurance companies didn't want to do because it makes them spend more money. What business could we all get into that anything that's a risk that's going to cost us, we can just take that right out of our capital. Any risk, we just going to not do that. It's not like that in the real business world, but they have it and had it. The insurance companies have had it for years. That's one of the reasons they're leaving is, and by the way, if you look at your insurance, I've been insured all my life. If you look at since 1972 to now, yours has went up in the old system too.
That's right, exactly
Okay?
right.
And besides that, President Obama has an advisor and his wife. She was head of hospitals. She is also a lawyer. And if anybody knows what the hospitals do, it's her. Along with the savings in this, and I'm a Republican, remember that. Billions and billions, and not millions with an M. I'm a degreed accountant. Billions have been spent and wasted in Medicare fraud that they are trying to stop. Look at that money coming back in billions that's happening every day, every month, all over the United States, in every state, and Medicare, and I don't know about Medicaid, but Medicare fraud that will address. And the people who have many companies and a lot of employees, if you're not going to get them insurance, then you have to pay a penalty, tax, whatever. You look at all the people who are probably going to say, well, I'm not insuring my employee, pay the tax. Look what that's going to bring in. So it's not maybe a total lose-lose, and this is coming from a Republican. That's what I've got to say on that. Number second, I-49, I work hard. I've been with 4 U.S. senators, 1 from our state and 3 from other states this last week. Spent a lot of time with them. Okay. Number 1, the Corps of Engineers has money for R-49. I'm sorry, but they do. Okay. Number 2, I grew up. I've been here 46 years. Most of you know me. I'm Ann Marie Arpino, local accountant. I was also a contractor, water and sewer. I did all the water and sewer for the major neighborhoods in both Bossier and Shreveport and Benton and down south a little bit. Okay. Here we go. When you hear loop on 49, we need 49 to go through Alabama. Okay. When you hear loop, I want you all to think about one thing. That's going to put those 18-wheelers with hazard waste driving over Cross Lake. What are we thinking about the bridge? No, I'm not. If you have an accident and that hazard waste goes in your water system, you have no more clean water for our city. Okay? My father came here in 1955 for about $28.6 million and built the Shreveport water system. That's what I know. Today, it's $300 million to do another one. They can't raise it. We've got 60 years to promise 20.
Let's kind of
Think about that.
Let's wind down.
Think about it.
First of all, let me say that if you think that Medicaid and Medicare fraud is out of control, just wait till we have Obamacare, aka ACA. Already, many of the mechanisms that are designed to control that are being removed, at least temporarily.